Everyone, welcome back to another vlog, and today we will be doing a voiceover about puff pastry confectionery products English method level 3. So let's begin with our voiceover now. Video for English method of pastry. So first of all, what we're going to do is make the base dough. So raise the nut dough needs to be made and rested for half an hour before you laminate the dough. So it's very important that this is the first step. So you will need a sieve, half a sheet of paper, a scraper, and your ingredients. Weigh it out. So it's strong flour, it's cake margarine, salt, calm water, some lemon juice, and your laminating fat. Ready, laid out. So first step is to sieve the flour. Alright, just to remove any impurities. Place the flour back into the bowl. And then take your cake margarine and break it into small cubes. And use the rubbing method to make a breadcrumb texture. So just pushing the fat through your fingers with the flour to coat the gluten strands. So you want to do this until you achieve a sandy, light colored texture, and all the fat has been rubbed through and there's no visible large lumps. So lifting the flour and pushing it through your fingers, a sandy texture, and there are no lumps of fat left in the mix. You want to make a well in the center to add your flour, your salt, and your lemon juice into. So we're just going to push a dash of lemon juice into the water, and then the salt. Just give it a little mix around, and then I'm going to pour it straight into the middle, and I'm going to use my scraper to form a dough. Add in the water, turn the bowl around, and mix to form a dough. Okay, so when you have your dough together, you can bring it out into the table and just work it into a smooth bowl. You shouldn't need to add any flour onto the table at this point. The dough will be a little bit sticky, but that is completely normal. That is how it should be. So once you have a clear dough, you can then top it back into your piece of paper and allow it to rest in the fridge for half an hour. Then we will add the laminating fat into the dough. Rub it up so it doesn't form a skin in the fridge. Rest for 30 minutes, and then you can use a band on top just to put your initial so you can feel that it's yours, and then put it into the oven for half an hour. As such, a timer on your phone for half an hour at rest time. So now after your dough has rested for about half an hour, what you can do is you can take it out with the paper, but don't throw that paper away because you're going to use that again. So as you can see, it's nice and soft. Okay, so it's kind of bounces back a bit, and it's nice and sort of pliable now that tells me that it's ready to roll. So I'm going to just dust my tables with some strong flour. As always, use the same flour for dusting. That's what you use for inside the product, and I'm just going to smooth this into a nice round ball shape. I'm just going to use my hands just to make it nice and smooth, and shape it into a bit more flour on the table. And what I'm aiming to do is to roll this into a rectangle. Okay, almost as long as my table. Okay, so this will take a little bit of efforts to roll it out, so it might take you about 5 minutes to do this part here. So it will want to spring back, but as you persist, it will get longer So if it's sticking, just add some flour, but not too much. You don't want to dry the dough out. So as you can see, it's starting to hold its shape now a little bit better, and it's getting longer and nice, a rectangle shape. And what you think then can do is we need to cover 3/4 of the dough with the laminating fat. So to mark 3/4, what we can do is just measure it up by eye. So we're going to go like this, okay? So that's probably about even. So when I open this up now, I know, so this line here is where I'm covering with the laminating fat. So I'm just going to do a little indent on my finger and this area here. I'm going to just manipulate and squash the fat over the die. Okay, so once you have added the fat over 3/4 of the dough, just use your fingers just to smooth it down to make sure it's nice and flat. Okay, make sure it's not coming over the edges, so nice and even all the way across. So then what you can do is you can fold it into 3, so the top empty part comes over, and just make sure that you're lining up the dough on the top so it's nice and even. Then this part here, then lifting up to go onto the top here. And then what you only have to do is you will have dough, fat, dough, fat, dough. So you'll have your layers. Then you can just add a little bit of flour onto your table for dusting. Pop the pastry down. I always advise to keep the fold on the same side. So keep it on the right side, hand side. Dust the top with some flour, and then we're going to roll it out to about the same size as we had for your dough originally. So we keep it nice and even. A little bit more flour on the top. Make sure it's not sticking on the table. So if you feel that it's sticking, just add a bit more flour, but you don't want to put too much because you don't want it to dry out. You want to keep it as rectangular as possible. I'm just going to go a little bit this. Like that. A little bit more here. It's nice and even. So next what I need to do is I need to fold this back into 3. I'm going to just dust this off as excess flour, so you can use your hand or you can use a pastry brush. I'm going to bring this down over 1/3. Use my hand to brush it off any flour, and I'm going to pick up the bottom one to match it up to here. Okay, then I'm going to turn the pastry 90 degrees again with the fold on the right hand side, and I'm going to roll it again. So the first instance I've done a half turn, and now I'm going another turn, so that is 2 half turns in total. So I'm rolling it out to the same length and width, and then I will fold it up again. The second time that you're rolling for your half turn, it might become a little bit tough. Okay, so you just have to be patient with this. Okay, so when you've got your original shape again, so a nice rectangle, you can then do the same process. So third of the way down, and then the bottom piece over. So that's 2 half turns that I've done here. So I'm going to pop this into my paper, and I'm going to put two finger marks in there just to indicate it's once. I folded it up, I've turned it around, I've turned it twice, I've folded up, and I've turned it around. So I'm going to cut that in the fridge so to rest for half an hour. So where you guys going is taking a pen, making the most of the time, and then putting the time that you need to bring out. So half an hour from now. Okay, so just make a note. We'll set the timer on your phone, leave it in the fridge, bring it out, and after pastry, and for the next 2 turns, so you've taken this from the crease, you have given it 2 half turns already. So now I will show you how to do the next 2 half turns. Remember, when you remove it from the fridge, to have the fold on the right hand side, and there's 2 in the fingerprints here, so that indicates I've done 2 half turns. So that what I'm going to do, put my flour on my table and some flour on the top, and I'm going to roll it into a rectangle shape. So if it comes out of shape, you can just manipulate with your hands. To get the rectangle that you need, to bring the first half at the first third down, push the side out so it's nice and equal, and then bring the bottom part over. Okay, so that's our third half turn. So turn it around 90 degrees to the right, fold down the right side. I'm going to repeat that process to give me the 4th half turn. I'm going to roll it again to the rectangular shape, and then I'm going to fold it up and put it in the fridge to rest for another half an hour. Then I will do the same process again, and it will be ready to use after that. Your final double turn for your puff pastry. So as you can see, I've got 4 finger marks in there, so indicate that I've done 4 half turns. So I'm going to do a further 2. So I'm gonna just on my table and on top of my pastry, I'm going to roll into a rectangular shape. So once you have a rectangle, you can bring it down a third of the way, dust off any flour, bring up the bottom, lift it up, and adjust my table again, just the top of my pastry, and I'm going to roll it again and then fold it up for my final half turn. So that's number 5. This is number 6, which is the final turn. We take the top down and then the bottom up, and that is our 6 half turns completed. Wrap it up in the paper, let it rest before rolling for about half an hour, and use as required. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.